Hello and welcome to this FMOD video. Today we will talk about scatterer instruments and a little bit about routing audio tracks. Let's take a look at the scatterer instrument. These handy instruments function similarly to multi-instruments in that they can contain many audio files that can be played at random or shuffled. What makes scatterer instruments special is that by tweaking the settings we can randomize a number of properties and even play multiple sounds at the same time depending on what settings we use. As usual, we have a volume and pitch control. You can set the minimum and maximum spawn interval to determine how much time can pass between the start of one sound and the next. You can do this based on time or tempo. Setting the minimum and maximum scatter distance will set how much panning is allowed each time a sound spawns. The panning will only affect that one instance of sound, which means you could have one sound playing right in front of you and one sound playing over your shoulder. This is very useful for creating ambient sound events. Setting it to 0 will disable the effect. Spawn rate scales the frequency at which instruments spawn. This is the only property that can be automated. Spawn total determines how many instances can be spawned at any time. The volume randomization dial will set a range of volume at which an instance will be spawned. The pitch randomization dial does the same but for pitch. The polyphony dial sets the number of sounds that can be playing at one time. If the polyphony is set to 1, instances spawned after the first will interrupt the sound already playing. When spawn stealing is set to oldest, and the maximum number of spawns has been hit, the oldest spawn will be stopped to make room for the new spawn. If it is set to none, and a new spawn would push it over the max, no new instance would be played until another stops. For this piece, I wanted to add an effect that would happen when the player's health drops below 50%. There are other ways to achieve the same result I have gotten, and I'll look at that another time. If I had kept the death and win music on the same track as the other music, when the player won or died, the music would either keep the same low health effects, or there would be a noticeable change in the audio as it reverted back to its normal state. Instead, I move them to their own tracks. I have no need to edit them with any automation, and the multi-instrument is similar to the multi-instruments in my previous video. Normally, I would add the automation of the EQ independently on each track, but for this, since they have the same automation, I can select the tracks that I want to modify, right-click, reroute, and route into new track. This will create a new track where we can modify the sound without affecting the death and win tracks. I have set this one to automate the high and low EQ as the player's health drops. I hope you enjoyed this FMOD video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and if you have any suggestions for future videos, leave them in the comment section below.